The University of Johannesburg, the future reimagined.
Good day, my name is Adelaide Mphahlele. I'm from CAS, which stands for Central Academic Administration. My position there, I am Senior Manager Systems and Training. I am not alone today. I am with Elmarie Vermeulen, which is the head of admissions at the University of Johannesburg, and she is under the division called Student Enrollment Center. Today we'll basically be talking about back to basics. What is back to basics? It's just us taking colleagues through the basics of what is an NQF level, what is an NQF level, and the likes. So what we will do is we'll just be chatting about this. I'll be asking Elmarie a few questions about the topic at hand, which is about the NQF credit and the NQF stats credit. Elmarie?
Thank you, Adelaide. I'm looking forward to all your questions so that we can spread some light on the different aspects of NQF levels, NQF credits, Hemis credits, etc.
Yes, as you have all heard, she did sound like she's speaking Chinese, but it's not really Chinese per se. It is just the higher education language that administrators use. I also remember how the new registrar came in, and in our first meeting, she just sat there and after a good 15 minutes and said, "What did you all just say? Because you don't sound like you're speaking English." But that's just the lingo. And what we're going to do, we're going to be decoding these languages for you. What is NQF level? What is a credit? And the likes. So the first question that I'm going to put through to Elmarie that she's going to explain to us is, what is an NQF level?
Adelaide, an NQF level indicates the complexity and the depth of learning. All qualifications are linked to a specific NQF level. The school levels, they cover NQF level 1 to 4, and then the college diplomas and technical education are on level 5 and 6. UJ diplomas are on NQF level 6. Degrees, PGCEs and advanced diplomas, for example, are on NQF level 7. Then honours and postgraduate diplomas are on NQF level 8, master's degrees on NQF level 9, and doctoral degrees or PhDs on NQF level 10.
Thank you for that clarification, Elmarie. And again, what is an NQF credit?
NQF credit represent the notional hours that is required to achieve a specific outcome. Now, for example, 10 notional hours equals 1 credit, which means that if there's a module that is 10 credits, it means a student has to spend 10 times 10, which is 100 hours on the content of that specific module to be able to master the content of that module. Now, for example, each year equates normally to 120 NQF credits, which means a student needs to spend 1,200 hours per year on their academic matter. And for example, a degree that is a 3-year degree, it will be 120 credits for the first year, 120 credits for second year, 120 credits for third year. So a degree and a 3-year diploma adds up to 360 degrees. Then a 1-year qualification such as an advanced diploma, postgraduate diploma and an honours degree adds up to 120 degrees. However, a master's degree is 180 credits. Why is there a difference? Because that's also a 1-year qualification. That is basically because an NQF credit measures the volume of learning, and a master's degree has more volume to be covered than an honours degree.
Thank you for that clarification. As you can all hear, it sounds very technical and very mathematical, but I believe that the clever people have figured it out and have measured those hours according to what is required for somebody to comprehend a certain content in the module. So, Elmarie, tell me, what does the structure of the qualification have an influence on the NQF credit?
The NQF credits remain static because it's linked to the notional hours. So regardless of the level of the qualification, if the module is compulsory or an elective, or if it's a major module or not, or the mode of delivery part-time or full-time, or if it's linked to study year 1, 2, or 3, doesn't matter. It's linked to the number of notional hours. Therefore, the structure of the qualification does not have an influence on the NQF credit. What is important is that NQF credits is not taken into consideration when subsidy is calculated.
Oh, okay. Now going to the Hemis side of things, as she mentioned in her introduction that we will be looking at the Hemis part of things. What is a Hemis stats credit?
A Hemis stats credit is a fraction what it constitutes to the full-time curriculum in a specific year of study, and the Hemis credit is the one that's been used to calculate the subsidy.
Oh, okay. How do you determine a Hemis credit value?
A Hemis credit value, for example, for a 3-year degree, the official lecturing time is 3 years, and the Hemis credits therefore must add up to 3. First year equals 1, second year equals 1, third year equals 1. Depending on the number of modules in that specific year will constitute the Hemis credit. Now, for example, if there are 10 modules in the first year, then it means it's 1 divided by 10, which means the Hemis stats credit is 0.1.
Per module.
Per module.
Correct.
Now, for example, in the second year, there's no longer 10 modules. There are now only 8 modules. Then the math remain the same. It is 1 divided by 8, which means it is 0.125 stats credit per module.
And the same will apply with the third year, and the number of modules reduces, then the stats credits sort of go a little bit more higher. But overall, it will add up to 3 years for a 3-year qualification.
Exactly.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. How do you determine the Hemis credit value?
The Hemis credit value will always be exactly the same because the maths is the same. So it will be 1 divided by the number of modules.
Oh, okay. Does the structure of the qualification have an influence on the Hemis stats credit?
Not at all. The only thing that has a influence on the Hemis stat credit is the number of modules per year. Doesn't matter how it's offered, doesn't matter if it's a compulsory module, if it's an elective, if it's a major module or not, if it's offered part-time, full-time, online, doesn't matter. It's about the number of modules in that specific study year. So if there's 10 modules in that study year, then it's 1 divided by 10, which is then 0.1 stats credits.
So this leads me to a question. What if there is a change in a credit for a module?
Okay, now there's 2 things that we are talking about.
Yes.
There is NQF level,
Yes.
and there is Hemis stats credits.
Credit.
For a Hemis credit to change, it means the notional hours must change. And that can only be changed if the notional hours are changing. So, for example, if you have a 1-year qualification that needs to add up to 120 credits, and your credits only add up to 115, it means for one of the modules, you have to have a look and see where you can add more notional hours so that it can add up to 120. Doesn't matter if it's a diploma, a degree, or a honours. If it's 120 credits, the notional hours remains the same. However, On Hemis stat credits, it is the number of modules, 1 divided by the number of modules, which also means that an NQF credit in different qualifications will be exactly the same. If it's a 10 credit module on an honours, it requires 100 notional hours. If it's a 10 credit on a degree, it will be 100 notional hours. However, on stats credits, there might be a difference because it depends on the number of modules per year. If Module A is offered in a qualification first year where there are 10 modules, it will be 1 divided by 10, and that module, Hemis credits, will then be 0.1. But if that same module is offered in another qualification where there are only 8 modules in the first year, then it will be 1 divided by 8. And the Hemis stats credit for that module will then be 0.125. So between qualifications, the Hemis stat credit might differ, but it won't differ between NQF stats credits.
So what you are actually telling me is if accounting 101, let's say for example a student is doing BCom in business management, they're taking accounting 101, but you also have a student who is doing LLB at the law faculty and they must also do accounting 101. So what will happen is the same module, which is accounting 101, it might hold a different stats credit with the student who's doing business management and a different one for the student who is doing the LLB.
That's correct. If the number of modules per year differs.
Okay, so it's very fluid depending on the number of module and the study year.
Yes.
Elmarie, tell me now, if there's a HAFA at the Faculty of Law and a HAFA at CBE that have this accounting 101, how are they gonna now insert this information of the different stats credits for that accounting 101 on the ITS?
Okay. The HAFA will calculate it by using the number of modules offered for that specific qualification, for that specific study year. And in one faculty, for example, if there are 10 modules in the first year, it will be 1 divided by 10, and the Hemis stats credit will be 0.1. In another faculty, in qualification B, for example, there are only 8 modules, of which accounting 101 is part of them. In that case, it will be the number of modules, 1 divided by the number of modules. So it will be 1 divided by 8, and that will give 0.125. However, the NQF credits will remain the same. So if the student is going to do accounting 101 in one qualification in one faculty where there are 10 modules in that study year, the students still have to spend the same number of notional hours on that specific module as on the module in the qualification where there are only 8 modules in the first year. The student will still have to spend the same number of hours on that specific module.
Okay, thank you for that. I wanted to also ask, where will they be capturing this on the business processes? Is it on the academic structure?
Yes, the faculty complete a curriculum reviewer form, and on that form they indicate the changes. That will then go through the approval structures of the university, and once approved it will go to the staff that is responsible for the academic structure, and they will make the necessary changes on the ITS system.
So where this differing stats credit will be captured is you will find it on the academic structure.
That's right, and we will soon talk about the academic structure.
Thank you. On the other question, what is the academic structure?
That's the thing.
Yes.
The academic structure and all its elements is basically the backbone of successful registration, successful financial system, a successful graduation, because everything about every qualification is on the academic structure. There are 3 modules, registration modules, that the academic structure is catering for. The first one is face-to-face offering. Then it's the HEP carousels, and then there's also an online offering. On the academic structure is the name of the qualification as well as the code. And then there's a lot of information that's been linked to each qualification, such as the qualification ID, the SAQA number, the Senate number for SLPs, for example. Then all the prescribed modules for each qualification, each study year is also linked to the qualification code. Each module is linked to a study year. Is this module a first-year module, a second-year module, or a third-year module? What is the offering type? Is this module offered part-time or full-time, or online? Then, on which campus is the module offered? Another important thing is the department that is responsible for a module. For example, in BCom accounting, they are doing accounting modules, which belongs to the Department of Accounting, but then they are also doing economics as one of the modules, and economics belong to the Department of Economics. Business management is another module that they will be doing, but that module belongs to the Department of Business Management. So on the academic structure, each module is linked to the department that is responsible for that module. Each module is also linked to, is it experiential? Is it in-service? Is it a foundation module? The NQF credits are linked to each module. So also the Hemis stats credits are linked to each module. Then there is a level that is unrelated now to Hemis and to NQF. Now, for example, there's a level 81, which is equal to a module offered in a first year of study, and a module linked to second year of study is on level 82. Now that plus the stats credits is used for subsidy calculation. Each module has a specific subject type, and that is again linked to the calculation criteria that is being used for to calculate a pass on each one of these modules. Then there's also a block code. Block codes are basically, if it's a semester 1, then it's linked to block 1, meaning that module is offered in semester 1. Then you get a block 2, which is a module offered in semester 2. And then you also get a block 0, which means it's offered right through the year. It's a year module. Each module, each qualification, each element needs to be linked 100% correctly to make sure that there is a flawless, easy, correct registration, that the fees are linked and that the financial part of the university is working, timetables, assessments, graduation, everything depends on the correctness of the academic structure.
So what you are telling me, basically, if we wake up one day and the academic structure is wiped out from our system, this university actually will be in chaos.
Absolutely, because students won't be able to register, and the core business of the university is the students and the academic offering that goes with it.
So at the end of the day, what she's saying is the academic structure, like she articulated, it is the backbone of this university. Without it, there's no shape or form. We will not have graduation. We will not have fees, which is more important. We will not have lectures going where they need to go, because who will know what to do where. But yeah, what is a pre and co-requisite? Because you touched on modules being pre and co-requisite. What is a prerequisite?
A prerequisite is basically you need to complete Module A before you can continue with Module B. In other words, the content of Module A is required to be able to do the content of Module B. In some cases, students have to pass Module A before they can continue with Module B. In some cases, for example, they will say it's a 40% prerequisite. In other words, if you have at least 40% in Module A, you didn't pass Module A, but you have a 40%, which means you have a basic knowledge of the content of Module A, then you can continue with Module B.
Okay.
And then a co-requisite.
Yes.
Co-requisite means you have to do Module A and B together.
Yes, you cannot do one and the other. They are like twinning. So without the other, you cannot do the other.
Yes.
Oh, okay, I see. Anything else that you want to share with colleagues?
No, nothing else.
Nothing else. Thank you. That's a wrap. Thanks, everyone. Have a good day.
Thank you.
The University of Johannesburg, the future